Welcome back, my fellow duplicants, to the Ultimate Automation Challenge. Now, I've played a little bit since my last episode, or the last time I was recording, about an hour or so, and I built this machine down here, and today we're going to try to fire this up and test to see just how much oxygen a system like this can produce. Now, it was recommended to me that I build a system where there's an electrolyzer on both sides of a pump, just to see that could potentially produce more than two of these machines running like they do right now. So I kind of want to test that. And then I also want to test the idea of what happens if we make more than that. So I'm curious to see just how much oxygen I can produce with this machine right here and how much extra hydrogen I can get out of it. Now, the reason I can do all of this is because I have just a ton of water now. So you can see I have all these liquid tanks, and man, they are pretty much all filled up down here. And one of the other things is I fixed up the thermal nullifier down here. So this was filled with water. I got rid of some stuff down there, deconstructed, rebuilt some insulated tiles. Now there's a bunch of frozen water down there. However, that system is now running really good, and it's actually almost becoming a little bit too cold. If you look up here, that temperature is about 0 degrees Celsius. And then over here, it's quite cold as well, and then it's very confused. So yeah, there's quite a vast temperature range going on over here, and at some point I'll have to balance that out and probably should turn some things off. But you know what? Taking a little heat out of this can't be such a bad thing. But you can see how much water I have up here, and the steam geyser is still running, and this is going to be running for a long time. So, man, I've got a lot of different resources just all running at the same time right now. So I should make use of everything I have available to me. And one of the things that I currently do not have an excess of, I should say, is oxygen. I have a lot of it in the base. You can see about 2 kilograms everywhere you look. So I've got plenty of oxygen floating around. But where I don't have oxygen is stored up in some tanks, and potentially liquefy that at some point to power up some rockets and whatnot. So that's my excuse for building yet another oxygen generation machine. But let's go ahead and try to fire this thing up and see how it works. So to get this thing fired up, I have to plug it in. So, or at least I have to deliver water to it. And what you can see over here is what I did differently with this design compared to some of the other designs I've done is that I have all these doors up here. So you can actually just get through, and you can get to everything when you go to actually build it or clean it or maintenance it or turn something on or off. So you can kind of get up this ladder right there. I also have a lot of storage for different batteries and whatnot, and I also tried to make it as symmetrical as I can because I figured that was a good idea. I also have a couple of power shutoffs in case I wanted to dump some of the power out of the system like I do here. Once this thing gets all the way up to the maximum, you can see it'll flip here for a little bit. Bloop. Maybe not. It should flip and then dump a little bit of power into the extra grid over here. I think what I want to do on this system, the more I think about it, is I want to offload the extra hydrogen I have and just store it up in a tank somewhere. So one of the extra things I could start to do over here is build yet another row. I think by the time I'm done with this pretty much will all be just storage. One of the reasons I'd like to have a little extra oxygen stored up is so that I can always refill these exosuits. You can see right here, it's just having a hard time pumping enough oxygen in there to always keep those full. Now I just turned this pump back on, but it's kind of pulling from atmosphere, which is not quite as efficient, because you got to run this pump constantly. And that just takes a lot of power. So I'd like to be able to just produce the oxygen, store it, run it to the exosuit docks, and if I have extra, then I can put it out into the atmosphere or use it for something different. So you can see in this system here, once I get hydrogen, which will be over here, I'll detect it. I actually have a big old tank here, gas reservoir. That way I can build up a little bit of a buffer for the generator that runs here. So if I were to kind of just create a little, if I were to create a bridge here that runs to this gas reservoir, it'd fill that whole system first before it then flows out to some more storage tanks. So if I got rid of that and just replaced it with this. I also left these as doors where I normally would just put tiles there. The thought behind that is that it might be easier to evacuate the oxygen in this area when you're first starting up. There we go. Put in a little manual generator here. And then I will run an automation wire. Just like so. And because of that, I don't think I really need all these smart batteries. It's just kind of a waste. I don't know exactly where I was going with all of that, but maybe it's because I can draw so much power here. Oh, this was one of the other things I did. I put this door in down here instead of that door because I kept having problems with duplicants getting inside of this and then flying back out around the rest of the base instead of like just going down here to do something. So I think there's still one suit missing for, I don't know where it is. I also have a strange amount of carbon dioxide that's starting to build up here. Not sure why. Like, that should be exiting here mostly. Tell you what, I'm gonna do this number. Ooh, I could do a gas shutoff right there. This is the ultimate automation challenge, so if I can find a spot for a sensor. There's 0 spots for a sensor. Oh wait, maybe I can put it right over here. Excellent. So then I will take the knot of that wire. So there you go. If this is detecting carbon dioxide, then that will not run. Seems simple enough to me. Alright, so now begins the interesting problem of how do I get all this oxygen to where it needs to go. So, I have oxygen, I can flow it in here. I can also flow it in on this side as well. And these are pretty much always going to move one full tile of oxygen. Okay, so I will keep... Get to work, dupes! You got a lot of stuff to tear down and build up. Thus begins the spaghetti. Alright, so we're starting to power this thing up. These pumps are pumping like crazy. You can see the oxygen is mostly just flowing down to the bottom. That doesn't really make a lot of sense. That should flow out first if it can. Like this. If not, well, yeah, it'll just go in there. It'll be picked up by the pump. Better plan. So one of the other things I've been working on here last week and a little bit over the weekend when I wasn't raking leaves or working was working on an enclosure for my 3D printer just in the shop. I have some wood, basically the cheapest stuff you can buy from Lowe's or Home Depot or whatever. And my goal with this thing was to hopefully have a temperature inside of here that would be 50 degrees Celsius. Well, I managed to hit 50 degrees Celsius even without an extra additional heating. So this is at ABS temperatures, and I just have the printer in there. It's not actually printing at this point. You can see there's cables and stuff everywhere. I just want to see how hot it could get. And I hit 50 degrees Celsius, and that's exactly where the temperature leveled out. So I was really excited about that. Just thought I'd share that with you guys. Pretty cool. And I'm pretty excited that I was able to hit 50 like right on the nose. I didn't think it'd get that hot. I was thinking like maybe 40, 42 or something, but turns out that like aluminum foil insulation bubble stuff actually works pretty good. Plus I have like 1.5 inches of airspace on the side too, so that helps too. All right, so we can see that the system is running now and there's oxygen flowing all over the place. I don't have any polluted or hydrogen really working just yet. There is some there. There is not any over here. System this big might take like several manual generators just to get fired up. I'll throw in a second one. Jeez, I have a lot of oxygen. I can disable that pump now. Oh, this was another thing. I added this little piece right here to the cooling loop to keep these dust caps nice and cool. The hydrogen itself alone wasn't doing the job. So the temperatures in the base, yeah, they're definitely warm, but they're not quite as hot as it used to be. Oh, come on now. You can get running. Alrighty. Looks like it's up and running now. You can see the hydrogen's flowing around. Excellent. Okay, so the last thing I want down here, somewhere, is something that's going to tell the system to run if the pressure is high enough. So in my other system, I have that set to 1 kilogram right down here. It's usually active and it pumps out the oxygen. Okay, so now my problem is I have too much oxygen. You can see this is flowing down through here, and it's nice and by the time it's getting out. All right, there it goes. Now it's running. Just gonna try to prime this system here. Just run it. Get that hydrogen up in there. Yeah, come on now. Let's just shift some things around here. Oh yeah. Now the power is being drawn out of that. How much is it consuming? Over 1,000 watts. Uh-oh. Yeah, should have seen that one coming. Deconstruct that. I'm just gonna move that over there and then just add a second hydrogen generator to this whole thing. And I think because I can, I might as well just add a couple of these up here. Yes, do that. Nothing wrong with that. Oh, I can't move the pump there. Alright, so in the end here, I needed to put a gas pump down here. I couldn't, unfortunately, fit it above the gas hydrogen generator without just like moving a whole bunch of stuff. But you can see just how much oxygen I'm moving around. I've gone ahead and disabled these pumps down here, so these electrolyzers should not run. That way we can get some reports out of this and see just how much oxygen this thing is producing. You can see the amount of hydrogen that's flowing around. Oh man, look at all that. And look at the flow on this side. Just going everywhere. Still getting oxygen from the vent up here, and this seems to be fairly consistent. And the temperature is not as bad as it used to be. It's only about 100 degrees Celsius. And that's because this output's at 60, so I guess things have cooled down a little bit. Alright, so this looks like it's up and running. I'm going to get my report from this next cycle and see just how much oxygen is being produced here. Alright, so let's take a look. Yesterday's report, oxygen generation, look at that. From the electrolyzers all by themselves, 602 kilograms. So this system over here can produce more oxygen than I'm currently consuming with my 8 duplicants. Alright, so I'm just going to let this electrolyzer down here run for a complete cycle all by itself, and we'll see just how much oxygen this thing is producing. So it's, you know, it's only one electrolyzer compared to 4. So I wonder which is going to be more efficient. One of the other things I'm doing here is I've reduced the amount of terrariums I'm using. So it's useful to get rid of a lot of the carbon dioxide, so I still want to have some running. But for the most part, I can preserve a good amount of the algae. I don't need to burn that up for no good reason. Okay, so that was 184 kilograms. So when comparing this setup here to just a single setup down there, this one is actually producing more oxygen per electrolyzer than the big system. Now, since everything's running off the same automation sensors, it's really not all that big of a difference, but you know, it only burns up what it runs. But I guess if we were talking about how effective this is per the space, I don't know. I guess it's just something to keep in mind. So this was like 150 up here, you know, per electrolyzer. Probably because this pump is spaced more out, you know, spaced a little differently. It's just, or it could be this tile right there. The oxygen has one extra spot to go to get out, so this thing can just run that little bit more. So that makes me think I should do this number right here. Alright, so that's going to have to do it for me today. Now, it's nice to see that this was up and running, and it's a little bit bigger. Takes up, you know, lots less spread out, I should say. So I might be able to just completely get rid of some of these if I really wanted to. You know, if I just wanted to kind of get some of the different areas back in my base. You know, definitely nice not to have to worry about oxygen for a little while. If anything, I might have to worry about having too much oxygen. Look at the pressure. Holy cow, 3,000! We're good on oxygen. Like everywhere. Down here it's 6.2 kilograms. Whoa! Whoa! That's a lot. Thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this little episode here of Oxygen Not Included. Well, except for in this episode, there's lots of oxygen. And if I've earned your subscription, then thank you so much for that. Have a great day, guys. Stay awesome. Peace. Brothgar out.